I was blind, but mysteriously, yesterday I regained my sight. As I was about to tell my parents the good news, I found a crumpled tissue under my bed. On it was written, "Don't tell them you can see." 3 months ago, I lost my sight in a car accident. To take better care of me, my parents moved us to a remote suburban area. Last night, my vision inexplicably returned. I was about to share the good news with my parents when I suddenly noticed a crumpled tissue under my bed. Being a meticulous person, I pulled it out. The words on the tissue made me frown. "Don't tell them you can see." The handwriting was shaky and messy, as if written by someone in a desperate hurry. There's no one here but us, I thought, so them clearly refers to my parents. I had no idea who could have thrown this tissue under my bed. For the past 3 months, only my parents and my husband, Liam, had entered my room. Just then, a knock sounded at the door. "Maya, Mom made you some bird's nest soup," a gentle voice said from behind the door. I casually tossed the tissue into the trash. But the moment I opened the door, my pupils constricted violently. Standing before me was a strange woman, holding a bowl of soup, smiling gently at me. Her lips were painted a vivid red, and her smile seemed subtly eerie. This was clearly not my mother. I instinctively recoiled, my face a mask of shock and fear. My mother was kind and benevolent, but this woman exuded a cunning shrewdness. Her features bore no resemblance to my mother's at all. Yet, the most unsettling thing was that her voice was identical to my mother's. Just as I was about to demand who she was, the words on the tissue under my bed flashed through my mind. "Don't let them know you can see." "Maya, what's wrong? Are you feeling unwell?" the woman asked, taking another worried step closer. "Mom, just leave the bird's nest here. I'll eat it later," I said slowly, fumbling my way back to my bed. "Maya, the bird's nest is still warm. How about I feed you?" the woman offered. I immediately declined. "Mom, I'm a bit sleepy. I want to sleep for a while. I'll eat the bird's nest once it cools down." The woman nodded silently and left. Only when she stepped out and closed the door did I breathe a sigh of relief. My back was drenched in cold sweat. Where was my real mother? Who was this woman? Deeply worried for my mother, I opened the door and stepped out. I stepped out of my room. It was the first time I truly saw the place I was living in, a large 2-story villa. Standing on the second floor, I gazed down and saw a man sitting on the living room sofa, his back to me, reading a newspaper. This must be my father. I quickly scanned my surroundings, and only after confirming the woman wasn't in the living room did I whisper, "Dad." The man turned his head, and I saw his face. In that instant, a wave of terror washed over me. Because what I saw was not my father's familiar face, but a completely unfamiliar one. "Maya, what's wrong?" But my father's voice came from his mouth. I forced a hideous smile. "Nothing, Dad." The woman's head peeked out from the adjacent room. Her bright red lips curved into an exaggerated smile. "Maya, didn't you say you were going to sleep?" "Mom, I'm not sleepy anymore," I replied with a forced smile. "Then let Mom feed you the bird's nest," the woman said, bringing the soup from the room and spoon-feeding me. All the while, I was incredibly tense, terrified that she would discover I could see. But fortunately, the woman didn't notice anything unusual about me. The bird's nest was fragrant and sweet, yet it felt like chewing wax in my mouth. I had no idea what she might have added to it. "What's wrong, Maya? You look so pale, and you're sweating so much." The woman still hadn't detected my strangeness. She moved closer, her eyes fixed on mine. Her eyes were exceptionally large, with a lot of white but very small pupils. "I'm fine. I just don't know when my eyes will recover," I said, feigning disappointment. The woman smiled. "Maya, don't worry, you'll definitely get better." I offered a stiff, uncomfortable smile while the woman lovingly stroked my head. After returning to my room, I immediately locked the door. I sat blankly on the bed. Half a month ago, my husband, Liam, had visited me once. As a pilot, he was incredibly busy with his job. Before the accident, my parents and I had a very good relationship. There was even a time when they set us up, and we spent the night together at the villa. That means, just half a month ago, my parents were still my real parents. I found my phone. When I couldn't see, I always used voice commands. I immediately called Liam, and the phone was answered quickly. Liam's voice was as gentle as ever. "Maya, what's wrong? I just landed. I'll come see you soon." "Liam, what I'm about to tell you might sound unbelievable, but everything I say is true," I said, my voice somewhat hurried. Liam was silent for a moment, then replied instantly, "Maya, as long as it comes from you, I'll believe anything." Driving from the airport here would take about an hour. The thought of Liam coming here filled me with a sudden sense of dread. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Maya, it's time for your medicine. My father's voice came from outside, but I knew it wasn't my real father but a stranger. My heart pounded even faster as I stared at the door. When I remained silent, the man started to turn the doorknob. Why is the door locked? Maya, if you don't take your medicine, your eyes won't heal. The man urged me to open the door. I made a firm decision. No matter what, I wouldn't open the door unless Liam arrived. Asleep, are you? This girl. The man chuckled helplessly, and then I heard footsteps descending the stairs. Only then did I breathe a sigh of relief. But then a sudden uneasy feeling washed over me. I had a strong sense that I was being watched. Anxiously, I crept to the door, listening for any sounds outside. The hallway was silent, no sounds at all, as if the man had left. Still uneasy, I cautiously bent down, trying to peer through the keyhole to see what was happening outside. But at that moment, staring back at me was a pair of eyes with extremely small pupils and a lot of white. The man had also crawled to the floor, peering intently at me through the keyhole. In that instant, I broke out in a cold sweat. I pretended not to see anything. I fumbled on the floor. How strange, my phone clearly just fell on the ground. The eyes disappeared from the keyhole, and I sank to the floor, gasping for large gulps of air. They were so bizarre. This eerie couple appearing by my side surely had some sinister motive. I no longer knew where my parents were. The only thing I could do now was wait for Liam to arrive. After a long, agonizing hour, Liam finally called. His voice on the other end sounded rushed. Maya, where exactly are you right now? Liam's words struck me as very strange. I'm in the villa, the one you visited before. Did you go to the wrong place? I asked, equally anxious. I'm in this villa, but you and your aunt and uncle aren't here. This place is full of dust like no one's lived here for ages, Liam said, sounding puzzled. His words terrified me even more. Liam then sent me a photo. As soon as I saw it, I confirmed it was indeed the villa. But just as Liam said, the villa in the picture was incredibly dusty, looking like it had been abandoned for a very long time. The sofa was covered in a thick layer of dust, and there were even cobwebs in the corners. The place in the photo was vastly different from where I was now. Yet, the layout was identical to my current villa. I suddenly remembered the man had placed a newspaper on the coffee table earlier, so I immediately asked Liam to take a picture of it for me. The photo arrived quickly. Sure enough, there was a newspaper on the coffee table, and the date on it was today's. My heart pounded furiously. I clutched my phone, trembling uncontrollably. Liam, I'm in the villa. If you don't believe me, I can video call you. What is going on? Am I even alive? My spirits plummeted, and I cried as I spoke to him. Maya, don't cry. I believe you completely. What foolish talk is that? I've already called the police, so don't be scared anymore. Now, listen to me. Although I don't know what's really happening, before the police arrive, don't let them find out you can see. Even though I don't know what their motive is for impersonating your aunt and uncle, their goal is probably not to harm you, as long as you don't reveal any weaknesses. How much battery do you have left on your phone? I need you to stay in constant contact with me. I checked my phone's battery. I didn't have a habit of charging my phone before bed, so it was only at 15%. This meager amount wouldn't last long. I immediately went to look for the charger. But strangely, I searched my room multiple times and still couldn't find it. I suddenly remembered that last night, before I knew my parents were imposters, I had talked with the couple at the dining table. At that time, I was listening to an audiobook while charging my phone. The charger must have been left there. The charger is downstairs, I'll go get it. Looking out the door, I gritted my teeth, opened it, and stepped out. The hallway was silent. It seemed the couple was now in my parents' room. I quickly went downstairs into the dining room and indeed saw the charger. My heart secretly rejoiced. Just as I was about to unplug it, I felt a strange presence behind me. I turned around and was met with a cold, expressionless face. The woman's face moved close to mine, her lips stretching into an exaggerated, unsettling curve. Maya, I just noticed how much faster you're walking downstairs now. Can you see? The fear instantly spread from my feet to the top of my head, and my heart pounded violently. The woman, with her mostly white eyes, stared intently into mine. Mom, if I could see, I would tell you. My phone is just running out of battery, so I'm a bit more rushed than usual. I've been living here for 3 months now, so of course I'll walk faster and faster, I said, trying to sound completely natural. The woman smiled, then raised her hands with their bright red painted nails and stroked my face. Her fingers were cold like snake skin, making me shiver uncontrollably. I thought our Maya could see again, and I was so happy for a moment. If Maya can see, don't hide it from your parents, okay? Otherwise, we'll feel sad. Here, give me your phone, I'll charge it for you. The woman took my phone, bowing her head to quickly glance at it. You're still on the call with Liam? I panicked. Liam's voice came through the phone. Mom, I've spent too little time with Maya before. This time, I've taken 3 or 4 days off to be with her. The woman chuckled. Come quickly, your father is making your favorite braised pork. Maya, I think she wants to. Well, I'll hang up for Maya first, all right? It's not very safe to charge and talk on the phone at the same time. Her tone and words sounded exactly like a loving, good mother. But only I knew that while she appeared to be looking at my phone, her pupils were actually angled sideways, monitoring me. After she left, my back was drenched in cold sweat. My legs trembled uncontrollably. If Liam couldn't find his way here, I absolutely had to leave this villa. I was determined to wait until my phone charged to 30% before I left immediately. Suddenly, I heard a creaking sound coming from the kitchen. The cabinet door slowly opened a crack. I looked in the direction of the sound and was so terrified that my face went ashen. Inside the cabinet, a pair of soft, pale, bloodless hands reached out. On one of the fingers was a black mole that I knew intimately. It was my mother's hand. My eyes turned red. My whole body trembled as I took slow steps towards the cabinet. The hands were completely cold, even bluish, not at all like the hands of a living person. My mother wasn't missing, she had been murdered. This man and woman had killed my mother and hidden her body here. In that instant, my first reaction was to run. The moment I turned, I saw the man walking out, smiling at me. His gaze first fell on the hand protruding from the cabinet, then sharply turned to me. Maya, what are you doing? Why are your eyes red? You look like you've been crying. The man's tone was incredibly concerned, but I clearly saw him pick up a sharp fruit knife from the knife block. The man, holding the fruit knife, advanced towards me, then suddenly raised it and thrust it at me. The knife stopped just 1 centimeter from my eyes. At that moment, my will to live suddenly surged. I had only one thought. I couldn't let them discover I could see. Seeing that my eyes didn't even blink, as if I hadn't seen the knife in front of me, the man slowly lowered it. Maya, your mother said Liam is coming soon. Dad is going to make the braised pork he loves the most. The man smiled and put the knife down. Then I watched him open the cabinet door and my mother's head rolled out, coming to rest right in front of me, her eyes suddenly staring blankly at me. I almost screamed, but I had to pretend I saw nothing, smiling at the man. Yes, Dad. But what happened next terrified and enraged me even more. I watched as the man pulled out the entire body from the cabinet. He bundled my mother's body as if it were an animal carcass and tossed it onto the table. Dad recently caught a really delicious black pig. Liam's in for a treat tonight. I watched, frozen, as the man flashed a sinister smile, then picked up a chopping knife and began to carve the meat. A wave of nausea, grief, and utter despair churned in my stomach. I wanted to leave this place, but the man's voice stopped me. Maya, help Dad with this. This piece of meat is a bit tough to cut. Hold it steady for me. I couldn't believe this man was so cruel. In other words, he wanted to test my reaction. I absolutely could not stand there, impassively watching this man dismember my mother's body. Dad, I'm a bit tired and want to go back to my room to rest, I said, steadying my breath and smiling. Go rest then. Dad can handle it here, the man said, also smiling. After returning to my room, I could no longer control my emotions and burst into uncontrollable sobs. My dear mother. And I had to witness her body being cut into pieces. And what's more, it was highly likely that my father had met the same fate. I took a deep breath and called the police. After explaining the entire situation to the police, I gave them my address. The police told me to lock my door tightly, stay inside, and assured me they would arrive within half an hour. After hanging up, I immediately locked my room door. Suddenly, my phone rang. It was Liam. Liam, Maya, are you okay? I'm okay, I replied. As soon as I heard Liam's voice, I lowered my guard, but I saw my mom's body. Liam was silent for a moment. Maya, you need to pull yourself together. I know you're hurting right now, but the most important thing is to ensure your own safety. Yes, Liam was right. Now was not the time for grief. The police would arrive in half an hour. Within this half hour, I had to stay safe. Suddenly, I heard footsteps on the stairs. The man's voice called from outside the door. Maya, I've finished making the braised pork. Come down and taste it for Dad. Hearing the man's words, I was filled with rage. I stared at the bedroom door. Dad, I don't really feel like eating right now. Then the woman's voice also came from outside. Maya, come out. Mom will massage your eyes. The doctor said you need a lot of massages to increase blood circulation. Mom, I want to be alone, I said, tense. At this moment, the sound of a key turning in the lock suddenly echoed. I never expected the woman to have a key to my room. As the doorknob turned, I immediately hid under the bed. To my surprise, under the bed, someone had written several lines in black ink, but before I could read it carefully, I heard a creak and the door opened. Maya, where are you? You're a grown-up still playing hide-and-seek with your parents? The woman's voice sounded incredibly eerie. I covered my mouth, holding my breath, not daring to make a sound. The closet door opened and the bathroom door opened too. I huddled in the corner, desperately praying they wouldn't find me, but my prayers were useless. Two cold faces appeared from under the bed, each offering me an eerie smile. Found you, Maya. I struggled to suppress a scream from escaping my throat. Mom, do you remember when we used to play hide-and-seek when I was little? I'm a bit nostalgic, so I wanted to play with you too. I forced a smile and slowly crawled out. The woman looked at me, then suddenly sighed. This girl, I still remember one time when you hid in the pigsty when you were little. When I found you, you were covered in dirt. Her words made my heart stop. This was indeed something I had experienced as a child. How could this woman know? After my mother found me in the pigsty and pulled me out, I had a fever for a day and a night. My mother herself carried me to the town hospital for examination. And then you got a fever. Our family was poor then, we didn't have a car, and your father was away on business, so I carried you to the town hospital. I remember you threw up all over my back while you were on it. The woman smiled, her eyes showing a hint of nostalgia. I dug my fingernails into my palms. These details were so specific, yet she recounted them without a single mistake. Seeing my silence, the woman stepped forward and stroked my head. Maya, Liam was a bit too much this time. I was polite and friendly to him out of respect for you, but both your father and I hope you divorce Liam. Our Maya is such a kind girl, how can that terrible Liam be worthy of you? I looked at the woman in astonishment. Liam? What about Liam? The woman probed. Maya, have you forgotten what happened before the car accident? You went to the airport to find Liam and saw him embracing a flight attendant. In a fit of anger, you ran out and got into a car accident. After you woke up, you became very strange, as if you had no memory of Liam at all. Your father and I were afraid of upsetting you, so we never dared to mention it, pretending we didn't know anything. My whole body went limp, and I sank onto the bed. So the reason for my car accident was this. No, I couldn't believe their words. They were clearly the murderers who harmed my parents. You are not my parents, I see everything, I said coldly. I decided not to pretend anymore. A joyous, unconcealed expression instantly appeared on the woman's face. She rushed forward and lifted my face. You can see? That's wonderful, my daughter, I'm so happy. I pushed her away forcefully. Stop pretending to be my mother. My mother was killed by you too. And her body was cooked into braised pork. The man stared at me, stunned. Maya, what are you saying? Your mother is right here, body. What are you talking about? You're scaring Dad. Are you still pretending? I stormed downstairs into the kitchen. But the kitchen was impeccably clean, without a single trace of blood. On the floor was not my mother's head, but a huge pig's head. Yesterday, your father had someone bring this pig from the countryside to nourish you, the man said helplessly. I frantically opened all the kitchen cabinets, but my mother's head seemed to have vanished. The woman suddenly burst into loud sobs. Some time ago, the doctor warned your father and me that you might experience some after effects from the car accident, but we didn't pay much attention to it. What's wrong with you now? Your parents are right here. I turned my head and stared at the two unfamiliar faces. Do you have any proof that you are my parents? The woman wiped her tears, trembling as she pulled out her phone. I saw that on her finger she also had a black mole exactly like my mother's. The woman opened a photo on her phone for me to see. In the picture, they and I were close together, smiling sweetly. The date on the photo was 3 months ago before I became blind. My face instantly turned white. I recoiled several steps, unable to believe what I was seeing. It's all Liam's fault. If it weren't for him, my daughter wouldn't be like this now. The man was so enraged that his veins bulged. I stared blankly at them. Could it be that I was really sick? That they were my real parents, and because I was sick, I was having hallucinations, misunderstanding them as not being my parents? Mom, Dad, I need to go back to my room to calm down. I couldn't wait to know the truth immediately. This time, they didn't stop me. The man's expression darkened, and he nodded at me. I ran upstairs like a demon was chasing me. If what they said was true, if I was the one who was sick, then what about the tissue under the bed? I stood on the second floor, looking down at them sitting on the sofa, my mind a turmoil of thoughts. I aimed my phone at their faces, took a picture, and sent it to Liam. Liam replied quickly afterward. Maya, aren't your parents perfectly fine? so they were my real parents after all. It turned out everything was true, and I was the one who was sick. I returned to my room numb. Liam, did you cheat on me? Liam was silent for a moment. Maya, it's true that you saw some things that made you misunderstand, but please believe me, I really didn't cheat. In truth, I no longer cared much about whether Liam had cheated or not. Even if I was truly sick, there were still many suspicious points in this situation. First, where exactly was Liam right now? From the photo he sent me, it seemed he was indeed in a villa decorated exactly like the one I was in. Second, who wrote the tissue under the bed? So many doubts enveloped my mind. I remembered that before I discovered the tissue, I hadn't had time to carefully examine the handwriting before hastily putting it under the bed. Maya, I left that note. I am you from the previous cycle. You are now re-experiencing the exact same events I once experienced. This is your 5th cycle. Although it sounds unbelievable, the 2 people downstairs are truly not your parents. Don't believe their words and don't trust Liam. Don't believe in the existence of that identical villa he talks about. Use your brain to think carefully. The picture he sent you could easily be photoshopped. Each time a cycle ends, you lose the memories of the previous cycle. But you were very lucky in the 4th cycle. You managed to retain your memories. These are the words left for you who are going through the 5th cycle, and don't believe the police, they won't help you. You will enter the 6th cycle at 8 p.m. Unless you kill them before then. Perhaps you won't believe what I'm saying, but Liam will do everything he can to stop you from killing them, and he will invent all sorts of lies. Maya, are you listening to me? Liam asked. Liam, I want to kill them, I said, calm again. No, Maya, you can't kill them. You can't do it. You can't do it. I hung up the phone immediately, tiptoed, and gently opened the door. I saw them happily eating the braised pork in the kitchen. My heart pounded furiously. I feel like she doesn't trust us much. Should we just kill her and get it over with? Why do I have a feeling she's gone out? Suddenly, the man looked up sharply towards me. I retreated, my chest heaving violently. I heard footsteps on the stairs. Maya, where are you, my dear daughter? I hid in the built-in closet, clutching the knife tightly, my palms sweating profusely. Outside the window, it seemed to be raining heavily. Thunder boomed loudly. I saw eyes pressed close to mine through the crack in the door. Found you? The man dragged me out. The woman gripped my shoulder tightly. Maya, why don't you trust us? You're sick, very sick in fact. Mom and Dad are going to take you to the hospital. My heart pounded wildly. I bit the woman's hand with all my strength. The woman shrieked in pain and pulled her hand back. I raised the knife and plunged it violently into the woman's shoulder. Maya, Liam ran in, panting, standing behind me. I turned around and saw his pale face. Maya, what are you doing? They're your parents, you're sick. Liam pulled out a report and threw it at my face. I took the report. It was my psychiatric evaluation. The report stated that my mental state was extremely unstable, with anxiety disorder and hallucinations. Maya, listen to my explanation, I didn't cheat. My colleague fell at that time, and I just helped her up. You've always been sensitive, suspicious, and you controlled me very strictly. None of that matters, but I never expected you wouldn't listen to my explanation and just ran out, leading to the car accident. Maya, your parents have worked so hard taking care of you. Put the knife down. Liam looked at me with an extremely serious expression. The woman also wiped her tears and looked at me, seemingly oblivious to the pain from her wound, her face filled with sorrow. At this moment, that sentence reappeared in my mind. Liam will invent all sorts of lies to stop you. Many scenes suddenly flashed before my eyes. My mother carrying me to the town hospital, and me accidentally throwing up all over her back. My benevolent father secretly taking out a small water cat I always wanted from behind his back. The day I got into a key high school, my father, who had never cooked before, made a table full of delicious food for me, despite his clumsy cooking. Their faces appeared before my eyes. They were gentle, kind, possessing the qualities of good parents, but their faces were completely unlike the faces of the man and woman before me. Now, no matter what my parents look like, they would never make me feel scared or eerie. I made up my mind. To Liam's astonished gaze, I slashed the throats of the man and woman. I had expected them to resist, but to my surprise, they didn't. Their eyes were filled with disgust and a flash of terror. And at that moment, everything before my eyes seemed to reset, breaking into many small fragments. I saw Liam standing there, motionless, looking at me with an incredibly complex gaze. You did it, Maya, my voice came from his mouth. Finally, Liam vanished without a trace. Right before my eyes, my parents appeared. These were my real parents. They held hands, smiling at me. Maya, you did it. Tears streamed uncontrollably from my eyes like falling pearls. Finally, they too dissolved into fragments, disappearing right before my eyes. Epilogue. Dr. Liam, Maya is awake. Dr. Liam took off his glasses, a smile spreading across his face. In the 5th hypnotic session, she finally overcame herself. How is her mood now? She keeps crying. I think she's still adjusting. Let her calm her emotions. Let's rearrange Maya's treatment plan. Maya, female, 26 years old, sensitive, fragile personality, a typical case of people pleaser syndrome. People pleaser, someone who wants to satisfy others, even if they have to sacrifice their own interests. 6 months ago, Maya went with her parents to a suburban villa for a vacation. It was then that Maya encountered the nightmare of her life, David King and Victoria Lan. This couple was involved in every kind of evil deed, one of the police's key wanted criminals. While on the run, seeing the expensive car parked in front of the villa, they decided to rob the place. David King and Victoria Lan picked the lock of the villa gate and broke in. It was late at night, and Maya and her parents were all sound asleep. The couple initially intended to just steal money and leave, but Maya's mother unexpectedly got up to use the bathroom in the middle of the night. So, they brutally murdered Maya's parents. Maya's father was awakened by a blood-curdling scream. He was very clever and immediately realized his wife was in trouble. He seized the opportunity while the criminals weren't paying attention and ran to Maya's room. He woke Maya up and told his daughter to hide under the bed. David King and Victoria Lan quickly discovered Maya's father. Maya, hidden under the bed, witnessed her father's throat being slashed. Before he died, Maya's father mouthed something to his daughter. "Don't be afraid." After recounting Maya's experiences, Dr. Liam adjusted his glasses. Before this, Maya suffered from survivor's guilt. She lived with immense remorse, hating herself for not running to help her father. Due to her inherently weak and insecure personality, Maya had always lived in pain, even developing paranoid delusions. Maya constantly hallucinated that her parents were still alive, but in her memories, she saw the faces of David King and Victoria Lan. To treat a patient with this condition, I performed hypnosis on her. Maya perceived me as her husband. In her brain, she had a subconscious recognition of me as a trustworthy person. When she saw her father being harmed, human instinct is fear and horror. Therefore, Liam, my role, would do everything to prevent Maya from bravely taking another step. My role in this was to act as an inhibiting factor, stemming from Maya's inherent weakness. But in the end, she overcame her fear. She forgave herself. Curious intern asked, "Dr. Liam, what about the similar villa the patient mentioned, like the place she was in?" That villa is the one where Maya witnessed her parents being murdered in real life, but her subconscious mind created an identical villa to imprison herself within. After Dr. Liam finished his brief account, he went to Maya's room. Maya cried inaudibly, but Liam knew she had stepped out of the past. Perhaps the greatest suffering in life is being unable to forgive oneself. End.